There was a time when Sarah believed some people were meant to stay forever, not because life promised it, but because her heart did. She met Ethan on a quiet autumn afternoon in Chicago. The leaves were falling from the trees, painting the sidewalks in shades of gold and orange. Sarah was sitting alone in a park, reading a book, when a gust of wind blew several pages from her hands. Before she could react, a young man ran after them. One by one, he picked up every page and returned them to her. "Looks like your book wanted to escape," he joked. Sarah laughed. And that was the beginning. At first they were strangers, then friends, then best friends, and before either of them realized it, they had become each other's entire world. Ethan was the kind of person who made ordinary days feel special. He remembered small details. He noticed when Sarah was sad, even when she smiled. He knew her favorite songs, her favorite coffee, her biggest fears, and her biggest dreams. For 3 years, they built a beautiful life together. Weekend road trips, late-night conversations, movies under blankets, long walks through the city. Every memory became a piece of their story. One evening, while watching the sunset by the lake, Ethan looked at Sarah and said, "Promise me something." "What?" "No matter what happens, don't stop chasing your dreams." Sarah smiled. "Why are you talking like that?" "Just promise." "I promise." Ethan smiled, but there was sadness hidden behind his eyes. A sadness Sarah didn't understand. Not yet. A few weeks later, Ethan began canceling plans. He seemed tired all the time. Distracted, different, Sarah noticed it immediately. When she asked what was wrong, he always said the same thing. "I'm just stressed." But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. Then, one day, everything changed. Ethan asked to meet her. His voice sounded serious. When Sarah arrived at the cafe, she immediately knew. Something was terribly wrong. Ethan looked exhausted. His hands trembled slightly. His smile seemed forced. After several moments of silence, he finally spoke. "The doctors found something." Sarah felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" Ethan looked down. Then he said the words that shattered her world. "It's cancer." The room suddenly felt silent. Sarah couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't speak. She simply stared at him, waiting for him to laugh, to say it was a joke. But he didn't. Tears filled her eyes. Ethan reached for her hand. "I'm sorry." Sarah shook her head. No, as if denying it could somehow change reality. The months that followed became the hardest period of their lives. Hospitals, treatments, doctors, tests, waiting rooms. Fear, Sarah stayed beside him through everything. Every appointment, every bad day, every sleepless night. When Ethan lost his hair, she shaved part of hers in support. When he felt hopeless, she reminded him to keep fighting. When he wanted to give up, she became his strength. But cancer doesn't always play fair. Despite every treatment, Ethan's condition continued to worsen. Still, he never stopped smiling around Sarah, never stopped making jokes, never stopped trying to protect her from his pain. One winter evening, they sat together watching snow fall outside a hospital window. Ethan quietly asked, "Are you scared?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, so am I." It was the first time he had admitted it. For several minutes they simply sat together, watching the snow, holding hands, trying not to think about tomorrow. As spring arrived, Ethan grew weaker. Walking became difficult. Simple tasks became exhausting. Sarah could see it happening, and it broke her heart. One night she found him listening to old voice recordings on his phone. "What are you doing?" she asked. Ethan smiled. "Saving memories." Sarah felt tears forming. "You're not going anywhere." Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he pulled her closer, and for a long time neither spoke. Summer arrived. Doctors delivered devastating news. The treatments were no longer working. There wasn't much time left. Sarah refused to accept it. She searched for specialists, experimental treatments, anything, everything, but reality remained unchanged. One evening, Ethan invited her to the park where they first met. The same bench, the same trees, the same place where everything began. They sat together as the sun slowly disappeared behind the horizon. "I've been thinking," Ethan said. "About what?" "About how lucky I've been." Sarah looked away. "I don't feel lucky." Ethan smiled softly. "I do." He squeezed her hand. "I found you." Tears rolled down Sarah's cheeks. She couldn't stop them anymore. "I'm not ready to lose you." Ethan's eyes filled with tears too. "I'm not ready to leave." The silence that followed felt endless. Several weeks later, Ethan became too weak to leave home. Sarah spent every possible moment with him, reading books, watching movies, sharing memories, pretending everything was normal, even when both knew it wasn't. Then, one evening, Ethan handed her a small envelope. "Open it later." "What is it? Just trust me." Sarah nodded. A few days later, Ethan fell asleep while holding her hand. For the last time, the room became silent. The world became silent, and Sarah's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The funeral felt like a blur. People came, people left. Flowers arrived, words were spoken, but none of it felt real. Because Ethan was gone, and nothing would ever be the same. For months, Sarah struggled. Every song reminded her of him, every street, every cafe, every memory. Sometimes she reached for her phone, wanting to text him before remembering she couldn't. Then, one evening, she remembered the envelope. The one Ethan had given her. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside was a letter and a flash drive. Confused, Sarah connected it to her laptop. A video appeared. Ethan smiled from the screen. Healthy, happy, alive, Sarah immediately burst into tears. "Hi, Sarah." His familiar voice filled the room. "If you're watching this, then I'm probably being incredibly dramatic." Sarah laughed through her tears. Typical Ethan. He continued. "First, I need you to know something." He paused. "You were the greatest thing that ever happened to me." Sarah covered her mouth, trying not to cry, failing completely. "You gave me more love than I ever thought possible." Ethan smiled. "And because I love you, I need one final promise." Sarah whispered, "Anything," even though he couldn't hear her. "I need you to keep living." His voice became emotional. "Travel. Follow your dreams. Meet new people. Laugh again. Smile again. Love again if life gives you that chance." Sarah shook her head, tears streaming down her face. Ethan continued. "Don't spend your life missing me. Spend it living for both of us." The video ended with a simple message. "I love you. Always." Months later, Sarah finally fulfilled the promise she made years ago. She began traveling. She visited places she had always dreamed of seeing. And eventually she arrived in Paris. One evening, she stood beside the Eiffel Tower watching the city lights glow. The wind gently moved through her hair. For a moment, she closed her eyes and imagined Ethan standing beside her, smiling, proud, happy. Then she looked up at the sky and smiled through her tears, because some love stories don't get a happy ending. But that doesn't make them any less beautiful. Sometimes love isn't measured by how long it lasts. Sometimes it's measured by how deeply it changes us. And Ethan had changed Sarah forever.